Hello and welcome everyone to the Polity Primer series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pragya and today we are going to delve into a topic which is very important for us, which has a huge impact on us, but it often goes unnoticed. Yes, I'm talking about the census. The title of our today's discussion is Constitutional Aspects of Census. In this discussion, we'll study about what is a census. We'll also see the purpose of conducting a census. We'll also analyze its constitutional aspects. We are also going to see the census which have been conducted in India so far. We are also going to ponder upon caste census, which is a hotly debated topic in news today. And in the end, we are also going to see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. So now let us proceed to understand the background of our today's discussion. So Bihar has become the first state in India to release the figures of a caste-based census, and this has caused a deliberation on the fact that yes, we need to conduct a proper census in India, and this has also led to the demand of conducting a caste-based census. So with this we come to a moot question of our today's discussion, that what is a census? So if I talk about what is a census in very simple terms, it means counting the population of your country and collecting information about the population of your country. And if I talk about a more technical definition of census, the entire process of collecting, compiling, evaluating and disseminating demographic, economic and social data regarding at a specific time all people in a country or a clearly defined region of a country is known as a population census. So this census is very important because it shows the population trends, the demographic trends, the economic trends as well. So this is what are we trying to do? We are trying to compile and collect and store all of these data by conducting a census. And if you talk about India, in India, census is the largest administrative exercise that is conducted throughout the world. So in India, census is a very large administrative exercise. And if I talk about the nodal ministries which are responsible for conducting census in India, they are: the decennial census is conducted by the Office of the Registrar General and the Census Commissioner, Ministry of Home Affairs. So you can see that the most important ministry, our ministry, that is the Ministry of Home Affairs, is involved in collection and conducting of census in India. Until 1951, the census organization was set up on an ad hoc basis for each census, but now it is a permanent organization known as the Office of the Registrar General and the Census Commissioner, Ministry of Home Affairs. So now all of these organizations are permanent in nature. Now let us understand that what is the purpose behind conduction of a census. So if I talk about the purpose of conducting a census, the first purpose is to collect information for the central and state governments planning and policy making. So most of the planning and the policy making, especially the affirmative action policies of the state and the central government, such as reservation based policies, such as public distribution system based policies, such as health policies, such as economic grants, everything depends upon the conduction of a census, because then we are trying to figure it out, the population growth, the characteristics of population, the trends in population. The data shows all of it, and hence we can modify our policies based on the data collected by the census. Then the second policy is, it aids in the government's decision making about the allocation of cash and assistance to cities and states. So the government will also figure out by this data that what are the states which are lagging behind, the financial assistance is required in which of the following states or cities, and this policies also depend upon the conduction of a census. The data of the census is also used by businesses and the central and the state government to figure out which of the areas need more attention and more development. So they can establish more schools in the areas which are lacking schools. They can establish more of the healthcare benefits, and all of these data is collected by census is utilized by the central and state government, even by the business houses. So this is very important exercise which is conducted. Now, if I talk about the constitutional provisions in this regard, they are Article 246 of the Indian Constitution states that the census of the population is a union subject. That means the parliament has the exclusive authority to make law over this subject. It is placed under the union list. It is stated in the 7th schedule of the constitution under entry number 69. Entry number 69. And census is conducted under the provisions of the Census Act 1948. So we also have a statutory enactment in this regard known as the Census Act of 1948. The pilot of this bill was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So not only do we have constitutional provisions in this regard, we also have a specific statutory legislation known as the Census Act of 1948 to conduct the effective census. Now let us analyze the censuses conducted in India so far. So if I talk about the very first census or the historical background of census, so it is mentioned in both Rig Veda also, the Mauryan dynasty, the Kautilya's Arthashastras also talk about the conduction of a census. Then there was Akbari, and it talked about the empire of the Mughal emperor Akbar. And it also mentioned about the collection of the data of the population. So historical perspective is this. And if I talk about the conduction of a very first census in India, it was conducted in the year 1800 along with the conduction of the census in the England. Then the second census was conducted in the year 1881, and after Lord Mayo, it has become a exercise, like every 10 years we are conducting a census. So the fifth census is very important. It was conducted in the year 1921. The decade of 1911-21 has been the only one till now to witness a decadal population decline of 0.31%. So this is the year that has the only years which have witnessed the population decline. This was the decade that ended in the flu pandemic of 1918, which cost at least 12 million lives. So this was the impact of a natural calamity. India's population was continuously increasing until census 1921 and still has been doing so after the 1921 census. So this census is famously known as the Great Divide. Because why? During these 10 years, we saw a decline in our population. Now, let us discuss some of the more important census, such as 11th census of 1971. It was the second census after independence. It added a question for information on fertility for currently married women. So, we were analyzing the sex ratio and the fertility ratio of married women as well as the sex ratio. So this census became very important as it had data regarding to the fertility of currently married women. Then there was this 13th census of 1991. It was the 5th census of independent India, and in this census the concept of literacy was changed and the children of 7+ age group were considered literate as compared to the 1981 when children up to the age of 4+ were treated as literate. So this basically changed the literacy levels in India. Previously we used to take only 4+ years of children as literate. Now this increased to 7+ years of children, and they were also included for counting literacy in India. Then came the 14th census of 2001. It witnessed a quantum leap in the technology front. The schedules for the phases were scanned through high-speed scanner, and handwritten data from the schedules were converted into digitized form through intelligence charter reading. So this was a census which promoted technological advancement, and the data was collected through the use of modern technologies. Then came the most popular 2011 census, known as the 15th census, the figures of which we remember for our examinations as well. So in the 2011 census, significant fall in the case of EAG states, or also known as the Empowered Action Group states such as UP, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, MP, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Orissa was noticed for the first time. So we noticed that all of these states are becoming less empowered and they need immediate attention by the union government. So 2011 census was important in this regard as well. The 16th census was to be conducted in 2021, but it got postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it, if conducted, it had been the first digital census of India, and it also encouraged the people to self-count themselves. And currently, if you ask me, the stated that it is in abeyance as of now. No, we do not know when it will be conducted next. But census is an important exercise, and it helps in the central and the state government to rethink their affirmative action policies. It also helps the central and the state governments to rethink their economic policies. And we need a census as of now because of the immediate requirement that we need to increase the constituencies as well. We need to redraw the boundaries of constituencies as well. We need to increase the Lok Sabha seats as well. So to all of this, for all of these purposes, we need, the census is the need of the hour. And if I talk about the caste census, like what is a caste census, which is in news recently, and it is a highly debated demand among the opposition that the government should conduct a caste-based census. So this caste-based census was conducted for the first time since 1931, and the socio-economic and caste census is the name, and it was second time it was carried out in 2011. The demands for a caste-based census has been made since a long time. A caste census will have political and social ramifications, since caste has an emotional component attached. We are very, in India what happens is we are very attached to our castes, and that is why the opposition is demanding that a caste census should be conducted. The critics say that this will lead to a further division in India because caste is a dividing factor in India. But the supporters argue that this will actually help the central government to think its affirmative action policies such as the reservation system. So this caste-based census demand has been arisen from a long time. It was conducted in 2011, but sadly it was so insignificant that the data have not been published. So the caste census is can act as a dividing factor for the unity of India, and that is why the government is avoiding a caste census. Caste counting has raised questions about whether it contributes to or hidens identities. So if, see, what happens is the contention by the government is that if a caste-based census is being conducted, it will definitely publish the relevant figures, and if the majority group has arisen, then they will demand their own rights, and if the minority groups has arisen, then they will demand their own set of rights, and it will definitely create a rift between the majority groups and the minority groups. So the government feels as of now there is no need of a caste-based census. But the demands have been arising, and that is why it was conducted in 2011. And if a census would have been conducted in 2021, then definitely it would have also taken the caste figures in accounts. With this, we come to a conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen what is a census. We have also analyzed the purpose of conducting a census. We have also seen the various censuses which have been conducted in India so far. We have also deliberated upon whether a caste census should be conducted or not. Now let us see a practice question for your prelims examination. So the question is, which of the following statements is not correct? Kindly note this in bold, that the question is asking not correct in the context of census of 2011. Your statement number A is population of Andaman and Nicobar is the lowest among census 2011. Your statement number B is Kerala population growth rate is highest in all the states. Your statement number C is Goa's population growth has been lower than India's population growth rate during 2001 to 2011. Then your statement number D is the population growth rate of Assam has been almost the same as the population growth rate of India during 2001 to 2011. You have to identify which of these following statements is not correct and kindly drop your answers in the comment box below. Now let us analyze a practice question for your mains examination. So the question is, discuss the significance and challenges associated with census in India. Firstly, in introduction you will write what is a census. You will elaborate what is the purpose of conducting a census in India. Then you will talk about what are the limitations of conducting a census and why census is not being conducted, why the government is avoiding the census, and then you can conclude that the census is the need of the hour. The government must act proactively for conducting a census in India because the historic Women's Reservation Bill, you will mention this point, Women's Reservation Bill depends upon the delimitation exercise for giving representation to women in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. We need a delimitation exercise, and this delimitation cannot happen if we do not conduct a census. So you will connect all of the dots, and hence you will say that conduction of census is very important because now is the time to give women representation in the parliament as well as the state legislative assemblies, and we also need to rethink our affirmative action policies as well as the economic policies. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you liked the today's discussion and found it to be helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. Thank you.